Byron, we can't hear you, brother.
Phones work. It's not working, Jeremiah. Well, wait, hold on. We got noise now. Hold on. Let's try it now. There we go. We've got both.
You're talking to a dog.
Was that?
Lost you, Gimby. You were good for a second.
But now we should be back. All right, we're having microphone problems today. You see, this is why we test. This is why you ask, you find out, but that's okay. Today we'll go no microphones. So if it's a little bit of a diminished sound, you let me know. But we should be good now. Somebody give me a thumbs up. Are we good? We're good now.
Sounds great.
Great. Perfect. All right.
Look at the fireworks again.
I got more fireworks. How in the world? Who's doing that? Is that a thing that happens? You guys can't see what's happening. I think Jack is like giving us fireworks because he can see us and hear us.
No, dude, it's if you do two
Thumbs up
thumbs up, the fireworks come. Jasmine, try it.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Glad you guys are all here. Let's just start this off right. Anybody have any wins? Anything good? Love the colors going on today. The black and white. It works. That's good. Black and white. It really works. It's good. Thank you. Yes, I wasn't fishing for that compliment, but you know what? I needed it, and I'm glad I got it. This is good. All right, love it. Anybody have any wins? Anything good going on? If you're on the Zooms, we'd love for you to just drop something in the chat. Jeremiah would love to share it for the whole room because we don't have the owl. We can't hear you, but he will make sure you can hear it. Talk to us. What you got?
Ben has got a listing pres today.
Listing presentation. Ben, good luck, my friend. I know you don't need it because you're prepared, but love when appointments come together. Somebody's doing their follow-up this week, so love to hear it. Dig it. What else? Any other wins? Everybody's casually learning a lot. Anybody learn anything this week? Anybody doing any learning this week? Yeah, a little bit.
Every week.
Every day. I hope so. We got a core value that says always be growing. That's one of the things that keeps you around this environment. All right. So this month we are talking buyer presentation. As you guys know, this is one of my absolute favorite scripts in the world to teach and to do. It is a system that we came up with. Today we're working on part 3. Okay. So as you get into your script, we're going to go over to part 3. And we're going to talk about this at length. If you have a laptop, we'd love for you to follow along with us. If not, that's okay. We've got it on the screen up here. But what we're going to be talking about is this next part of the presentation, this meat and potatoes, making sure that your clients fully understand the process, and so do you. Okay. Let me make sure we're on the right place. MerakiAgent.com. And let's get this on the screen so everybody can see what we're doing here. Training Room TV, yes. Big shout out to my friend Jack Harvey. He named all the TVs, so it's easy for me to find. This is just makes life so much easier. So thank you for that. All right. So obviously MerakiAgent.com, you click on resources, you click on this buyer folder right here. You'll find all the resources you could ever need in order to do these buyer presentations at a high level. Buyer presentation slideshow. So part 3, this is where we are getting deep into the how, the what, the specifics around buyer presentations. Okay. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to walk you through all of this. I'm going to do part 3 for you. You get a chance to ask some questions at the end, and we'll even have some time for you to practice some of this on your own because we're working ahead, a little bit ahead today. So part 3, I'm going to walk through this step by step. I'm going to give you guys some notes, some places where you need to make sure you write some things down so that you understand what's in this script and why it's said in the way that it's said and what you're supposed to get out of it. Okay. This is a big piece of internalizing it, making sure you understand exactly what we're doing here. Okay. So jumping into, and again, especially if you're on Zoom, would love for you to follow along. We're going to start on slide number 5. And this is after we have now taken our clients through this roadmap in 30 seconds or less, so they have a high level overview of where we're going. Okay. Mark, I don't expect you to remember everything that was on the screen that we just talked about 2 minutes ago, but do you have any questions about it yet? No, he doesn't. Perfect. We're jumping into part 3. Part 3 is where we're going to get into all of these details. So jump right into number 9. Now, there's a couple of things you'll want to know just to make sure you're prepared. Can I share those quickly before we start your search? Okay. Number 9, this is a sales technique. This is one of the most powerful sales techniques that you'll need to learn in order to become a highly effective salesperson in 2024 and beyond. It is called asking permission. Okay. Because when you ask permission, now when you give all this information, your clients are actually paying attention. They have bought into the idea that we are about to learn together. So you are going to intentionally ask permission, because even if people have bought in a home before, or even if they have not, you now have their full attention and permission to deliver this information in an impactful way. Okay. So asking permission. There are a couple of things you'll want to know just to make sure you're prepared. Can I share those quickly with you before we start? Okay. Number 10. Great. So when you get a mortgage, we're now on the financing slide here. Great. So when you get a mortgage, you have a down payment between 0 and 20% that you'll bring to closing day when you sign and get keys. Do you know how much you plan to put down? Okay, this is your opportunity to pre-qualify your clients, to find out what's their money situation like. Because a lot of times this is a very nerve-wracking conversation to talk to people about money. Anybody grow up in one of those households that says we don't really ask people how much money they make or how much money they have? Yeah, it's a pretty taboo thing in our society to talk about. But this is how you do it in a very low pressure, very light, very easy to respond way, which just says, do you know how much you plan to put down? Right? This isn't asking about their life savings. This isn't intrusive. It just says, do you already have an idea about this stuff? A lot of people, the answer is going to be no. And now they get a chance to see anywhere between 0 and 20%. Everybody's eyes go to the 0, and then you begin to, they'll begin to ask you questions around this stuff, and you'll be able to help them formulate a strategy which says, do you have 10,000 already ready? Well, we've actually got 50. Great. Now you have an idea of what kind of money they're working with, and you can help them begin to game plan their stuff. Okay. But this is how you introduce that conversation in a low pressure, non-invasive way. Okay. Do you know how much you plan to put down? Number 11. That sounds great. And additionally, you have what are called closing costs. These are fees for title, mortgage, taxes, and to start your escrow account. And those are between 2 and 4%. Now, out of curiosity in the room, is there anybody who has not bought a house before? Not bought a house? Yeah, a couple people. Okay, love that. Okay, is there anybody, when you bought your first house, you had no idea what these closing costs were? Yeah, you heard the term, but like we didn't really know what the heck is in it. We just did it because they told us we had to do it, right? Because that was 100% my experience. And yes, one of my realtors is in the room / on the call. Okay, so you're going to prepare them for that so that they know when they come to closing, they have closing costs and they have down payment. These are two separate things. And even if the closing or the seller pays their closing costs, they still have costs associated, and now they're clear on that. Okay. Super important that you help them understand that those two things are completely separate and they both have to happen. Okay. Number 12, perfect. And are you aware that working with a local lender can not only help you get a better deal, but also get your offer accepted by a seller? Okay. And again, you're just asking, no, I didn't know that. Great. Now you've just provided a valuable service. And that's why over here on the right side of your screen up here, you'll see it on the right side up there. You can see if you have a local lender, great. You're free to use any local lender you like. You can use our preferred lender, or you can use whoever you bank with, whoever you like, whoever your parents use, doesn't matter. It's totally up to you. It's totally up to the clients to decide who they work with. Okay. If it's no, or if it's Rocket Mortgage, or if it's Quicken Home Loans, or if it's any of these other things, what do? Kick them out of the room. Exactly. Amanda's right. Yes, you kick them out. No, you help them understand the benefits of not working with a Quicken Loans, with a Rocket Mortgage, knowing that they will probably get a better deal, knowing that they probably won't get their closing delayed, and they probably are more likely to get an offer accepted because there are actually real people that we can reach out to and get all the information that we need, because we'll need them several times throughout this process. Okay. So once they really understand that, and they've gotten just that simple thing that you delivered with this quick line in number 12, which says, perfect. And are you aware that working with a local lender can not only help you get a better deal, but get your offer accepted by a seller? Now gives them all the permission in the world. Okay. When you get this permission, please, at number 12, make a note of this. When you get permission from them to either recommend a lender or they're not working with a local lender, You will make the introduction immediately right there. Okay, number 12, put down there, introduce them to the lender. How do you introduce them to a lender? My personal favorite way is to do a group text with you and the lender where they can set a time that works for both of them and they can discuss it between the two of them, and you're not now a liaison between two people trying to coordinate two different schedules, and also do it while you have free time. Okay. Phenomenal opportunity for you to just introduce them. You can do a text message, you can do an email. You can just give your clients the lender's number if you prefer to do that, or you can give the lender your client's number if you prefer to do it that way. But take the time right then and there, and while you're having this conversation, to give them that introduction so that as they're leaving this, they are already off and running. Okay, we never get up from a big goal setting activity, which is what this is. This is a goal setting activity for you and your clients, without taking an intentional step towards your goals. This is a huge step towards their goals, and you're doing it right there. Okay, so before we ever ask for any agreement, you've provided so much value. At the end of this presentation, it is a no-brainer who their real estate agent is, and they would never go anywhere else. All right, that's why we're doing that at number 12. Okay, number 13. Perfect. And again, we're going to go out and walk these houses in person. So now we're on the showing slide, and you're reminding them. Again, we're going to go out and walk these houses in person. Either myself or one of our showing assistants will go with you, and your job is to decide if you like it. My job is to make sure you get your offer in front of the sellers if you do like it. Fair enough? Yeah, that sounds fair. Now their only job is to walk the houses and decide, do they like it? They understand, what are these showings about? What, instead of going in there and trying to figure out, is it worth the money? What's broken? What's not broken? They are now freed up to find out. All they have to do is decide if they like it. Okay. And you'll get to remind them of this when you guys go start showing houses. You decide if you like it. My job is to help keep you protected through this whole process and introduce you to the people who will help keep you protected. Okay. This slide gets you set up to do that. And then in here, please underline the words showing assistant in number 13. Okay. For those of you guys who are in the group chat already, is it possible that your clients will want to see a house and you might not be available to show them that house?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. This is your opportunity to get ahead of those circumstances so that when that comes up, it's not awkward for anybody. It's not scary for anybody. It's just a normal thing that happens. Either I'm going to show it to you, or one of our showing assistants, one of the other members of my team, will be showing you this house to make sure you can get in there and take a look at it. Okay. We are all well trained to make sure to look out for all the things that you need to know. And then it is your job to just go in there and decide if you like it. Okay. Fair enough. Yes. Fair enough. I also would love for you to just underline the two words fair enough at the end of that sentence. Okay, fair enough. This is one of the ultimate ways that you as a salesperson will gain agreement, because you are not asking for people to agree with you. You are not asking for people to validate you. You're not asking for them to tell you that you're right, that you're the smartest person that they've ever met. You are just asking, does this sound fair? Okay, it's so easy for people to say yes to that. So get in the habit of using this F word, the magic F word that makes your negotiation super duper easy in all capacities, which is fair. Okay, I know there's another 4-letter F word that some of you guys much prefer. I'm looking at you, Jay Bigford. But fair, that's the one that we're working on. Okay, and if you're reading the book of the month, they're going to talk about that at length. All right, number 14. Cool. And we talked about me helping you with offers. And we're asking a question here, really powerful question here. And what have you heard about the competition in our market for buyers? Okay, this is where you're going to give them an opportunity to let you know where their head is at when it comes to all this stuff. They're going to tell you there's so many buyers out there and people are having to go 20,000 over asking price and waive appraisals and do all this crazy stuff. And that sounds crazy to me. So before you go in and telling them that they have to do all this stuff, you get an appreciation for where they're at, what they think. You know, I hear that the market is really, really slow because of interest rates, and buyers are, they're able to walk in and offer half price, and the sellers have to take it because they have no other choice. Whatever they think is totally fine. Okay. You're going to see in number 15, we're going to allow them to believe whatever they believe. And then we're going to allow them to come to their own conclusions in a future step. Okay. So you're asking them about what their opinion is. And at number 14, do not get caught up on this. We don't have to argue this. Whatever they say is totally fine. Whatever they think right now is totally okay. Okay. Number 15. Number 15 is where we're jumping into this offers page where we're starting to get into this. Absolutely, whatever they say, absolutely. We are in a very competitive market. So when we go and put in your offer, these are some of the things we may want to consider in order to make your offer stand out, including removing the request for home inspections. Does that make sense? Okay, so when we're talking about number 15, notice number 15, we are looking at all of these multiple offer strategies on this offer page. Okay, we just got done talking about offers in number 13. My job is to help you make sure you get your offer in front of the sellers. Number 15, absolutely, we are in a very competitive market. So when we go and put in offers, these are some of the things we may consider to make your offer stand out, including removing the request for a home inspection. Does that make sense? Now, what's going to happen is what you don't see here in your script is that we are actually going to talk them through all of these things very, very briefly. Listen, here's how I help you with offers. We're going to analyze the market. I'm going to help you write up all the terms. I have all the contracts. I have all that. We'll negotiate. They'll tell us something. We'll give them an offer. They'll tell us something. We'll tell them something. They'll tell us something. And we'll keep going back and forth till everybody agrees. Okay? Super simple. That seems really easy. I told you about the 3 times you need money in a deal or deposit inspections. Closing. Okay? Multiple offers. If you put in an offer on a house and somebody else puts in an offer on a house, we need to do something to make your offer stand out. This is what number 15 is about. We're in a very competitive market. So when we go and put in your offer, these are some of the things we may consider to help your offer stand out. We could get you pre-approved, right? I introduced you to the lender already. You guys are going to make sure you guys have that way ahead of the game so that we really stand out for people. Okay. We could increase the offer price. We could change your type of financing. We could get rid of your USDA loan and switch it to a conventional loan. We could use the comparable sales in the neighborhood to make a really good argument. We could change the appraisal terms. You could offer to give the seller a little extra cash just for taking your offer instead of somebody else's offer. We could do any one of these things or none of these things. But we may even consider getting rid of inspections altogether in order to make your offer stand out. Does that make sense? Okay, because what's naturally going to happen now is you are presenting all of these strategies long before we ever encounter a multiple offer situation. Long before you're standing in the driveway of their dream house, and now they're on the spot to make a decision about the $20,000 over asking price that you're about to ask them to do, about the escalation clause you're going to ask them to put together, about waiving this inspection right after they just got done walking through the house and they saw a little crack in the foundation and they're not sure what that means. Okay. So we're getting way ahead of these things to say these are options for us, but we don't have to choose them, but we might. Because now what's going to happen is when they're standing in front of that house and then you say, well, this is very popular. 3 other groups just walked out right before us. So we might be in a multiple offer situation. Your clients will start reciting this list back to you saying, should we increase our earnest deposit? Should we raise the offer price? Should we waive inspections? I think I feel really good about this house. And they'll begin to rattle this list back to you as if they knew it the whole time. Okay. Super important. And that's why, so number 15, this is the hypothetical possibility. Okay. So if you're writing, Anadi, I know you were asking about this. Number 15, this is all about the possibilities. Okay. We're just opening up what are the options. That's what 15 is all about. Okay. So then number 16, we're on to the next slide here. Number 16, when we get to the point of doing inspections, I recommend you get one. Okay. So here's where the question came up. Just a second ago, we said we might waive a home inspection. That's a possibility. Number 16 is your job as a real estate agent is to act as a fiduciary, to treat your client's house and your client's money as if it was your own house and your own money. So you are going to recommend only things that are the best for your client, which is why number 16, this is where the part you become a professional real estate agent. This is the advice part. 15 is possibilities. 16 is advice. When we get to the point of doing inspections, I recommend you get one. And here's about what they cost. Right here on the screen gives you some average cost of home inspections. Depending on what inspector you use, these prices can be different. Depending on if you've done 2, 3, or 4, or 5 inspections because they fell through or your clients decided not to buy that house or whatever reason, these prices could change. So these are just averages to give them an idea of what these things are going to cost so that they're not surprised when your home inspector is sitting in front of them and says, hey, pull out your credit card. I'm ready for your $500 now. Okay. So number 16, to finish that off, I will tell you that every single home, including new construction homes, will have what we call findings. And our inspectors do a good job of telling you if those findings are actually a big deal or not. Make sense? Because now it will make sense to them that their job is to just tell you what's good, bad, ugly, indifferent. And if you never do anything about it, will this actually affect your experience in owning this home? Okay. You prepare them for that ahead of time so that when they get that inspection report, they're not scared. And again, the other thing that this does is later on when the real estate commission comes to you and asks you, did you recommend your clients not get a home inspection? Did you actually tell your clients not to get a home inspection? No, very clearly. You're like, well, we did a buyer presentation and here's what I showed them. Very clearly it says inspections can be waived, but we don't recommend it. Okay. That's never something that we're going to recommend to our clients, but if they feel comfortable doing it, that is a choice that they get to make. All right. Does that make sense to everybody? Anybody have questions around that? Okay, perfect. Number 17. Last but not least, this is closing day. Last but not least, you get to sign on the dotted line. You get your new keys. You become a homeowner. Now, if you get a loan, please pay attention to these do's and don'ts because it's possible that your clients might be cash. This does not apply to them if they do cash. But if they are getting a loan, okay? Now, if you are getting a loan, please pay attention to these do's and don'ts because if you are not careful, you could totally change your qualifications and end up losing your home loan by doing these things, okay? And I'm going to explain it to you guys just so that there's nothing left up to chance. Because if you haven't heard this, it's monumentally important that you know why these things all exist, okay? So provide your documents to the lender ASAP. The lender is going to ask them for all kinds of stuff, and it's going to feel like they're being strip searched for their entire life history from these lenders. That's what it feels like. But they have to do all this stuff because if the lenders don't have this stuff, they'll just tell you, hey, sorry, you can't have our money until we have all this stuff. And they do not get to close on the day that they're supposed to. Okay. If your clients end up delaying their closing for your contract gives you 14 days, but if that ends up getting negotiated or changed or things get weird, your clients could end up losing their earnest deposit. This could cost them lots of money not closing on a house that they have signed and agreed to close on. Okay. So make sure that they know that they need to get those documents in ASAP. And the lending process oftentimes takes time. So even though they turned it in today, are they going to turn around and get the results back 15 minutes later? No, this can take several days. Okay. So you want to make sure that they have as much time as possible to get that done. Okay. They want to continue to make regular payments. Why do you make regular payments? Because if somehow in the middle of this process, your credit score changes, is it possible that you will no longer qualify to buy this house? Yes, that's why regular payments are important. Okay. Keep your current job. Job history is one of the things that will get your mortgage disqualified. This is one of the things you have to do in order to qualify for a mortgage. You must have generally 2 years of your job experience. It can be 1 year, depending on what job you have. But your job history monumentally important. So ask them, don't quit your job before we finish this. After closing, you can go tell your boss to F himself. Okay. Wait till then. Okay. Bring your ID to close. Okay. Really short story for you guys. We actually had a client showed up to close on her home, and you have to have a driver's license or a valid ID in order to close. Driver's license, passport, something, right? She showed up and her driver's license was 1 day expired. Guess who didn't get to close on her house? Yes, she didn't get to close that day because her driver's license expired. So she got to drive to the DMV and she had to wait in the long line and then come back tomorrow and do it all over again. So let your clients know they have to have a valid active ID, and expired will mean you're not closing. So make sure they have that. And make sure it's not expiring close to our closing date. So you'll let them know now so they can just check it while they're sitting there in the room in front of you. Okay. And that's probably what they're going to do when you tell them that. They're like, when does mine expire? I really don't know. Most people don't. Okay. And then do make sure you get a cashier's check or a bank wire because you are not closing if you use a personal check. Okay. You have to get a cashier's check. They have to make sure that those funds are actually there, because if your check goes bouncy and they have to come back and take your house, that's all bad. Okay, so that's why they make you have a cashier's check or a bank wire. Just so you know, that's why. Okay, do not use cash earnest deposits. What happens is when your bank does your financial autopsy and they go look at everything that's ever happened in your life, they're going to look at when you're moving around large sums of money. Just so you know, the reason why they tell you not to move around large sums of money is because it looks like you might have gotten a loan from somebody. You might have went to some loan shark or some mafioso dude who said, if you don't pay me back, you're going to swim with the fishes tonight. And technically that's a loan and it will affect your loan to income ratio, which might make you not qualify for the house. That's why you don't pay cash furnished deposits. You don't buy furniture. You don't buy a car. Any of these things that can affect your income ratio, your debt to income ratio, could disqualify your clients from getting the loan. Okay, so don't take out loans. Don't move around large sums of cash because it looks like loans and the bank can't tell the difference. Okay, and then definitely don't spend on credit or don't get any more debt. Okay, a lot of times people get debt from furniture because Nebraska Furniture Mart will let you do 24 months with no financing. Cars will let you do 12 months with no financing or with no interest free. Doesn't matter. No credit cards, none of that crazy stuff, because it could get them disqualified for their loan. And then we get to the table and we're not doing this, and it's going to cost you your earnest deposit. Okay, so just so you know, that's why these do's and don'ts don't exist. And then just a little bit more in depth, make sure you set up your utilities and insurance ahead of time. We're going to do a final walkthrough, title company. You're going to sign and get keys. You're going to do reviews and referrals. Okay, questions around step 3. That is all of step 3. Questions around step 3 of the buyer presentation process. Okay, what's going to happen over the next couple of days? We're going to be practicing this buyer pres process. And I really want you to make sure you've got your computer with you. Because as you can see, these slides, some of these slides have 2 bullets. Some of these slides have no bullets. Some of these slides have half a bullet. And some of these slides could be 2 or 3 bullets mixed together. Okay, you got to practice going through this with this slide so that you know when do the changes happen. When should I be doing this? And you'll get real-time feedback from your partner to make sure that you're doing these things correctly. And you're going through at just a very, very high level, these little notes that will give you talking points as you go through. Okay. Now your clients will still get a buyer packet to take home. If they want to get more detailed about any of this stuff, they can learn all that buyer packet. Highly recommend you read that because there's just really good information there for you to know if you're not totally familiar with everything that we just went over. And if you're not totally familiar with everything that we're talking about up here, what a great time for you to ask questions. This is the place to do it because we will absolutely help make sure you are an expert at delivering this information. Okay. Any questions so far around the buyer process or around part 3, how you communicate those things? Anadi asked a great question around 15 and 16. So thank you for asking that question. Phenomenal question. Other questions? No, not yet. Good. Okay. What I want to do, we've got about 8 minutes to practice this still. And I want to give you a chance to just practice these words on your own. Okay. So you're not going to be on stage. You're not going to be in front of somebody. You don't have to worry about getting embarrassed. But I do want to give you a chance to just say these things so that you at least have gotten these words out by the time you are in front of somebody delivering the presentation. Okay. So if you want to just spread out, if you want to find space in the room, I just want you to go through part 3, all of part 3. And I would love for you to get through it at least 4 times, top to bottom, 4 times all the way through out loud, just getting all of these words out. All right. So we've got about 7 minutes now, but get through it as many times as you possibly can. 4 is the goal. All right. 4 times all the way through part 3. Let's do it. Now, there are a couple of things you'll want to know just to make sure you're prepared.
A couple things you'll want to know just to make sure you're prepared. I'll show you.
Danielle, I will answer your question before we get out of here. I promise.
That sounds great. And additionally, you have what are called closing
Because I have
costs.
people in the room that
Your fees for title, mortgage, taxes, and to start your escrow account. And those are between 2 to 4% of the purchase price, in addition to your down payment. Does that make sense? Perfect. And are you aware that working with a local lender can not only help you get a better deal, but also get your offer accepted by a seller?
if they don't get doxxed soon, we're going to
Perfect. And again, we're gonna go out and walk these houses in person. Either myself or one of our showing assistants will go with you. Your job is to decide if you like it. My job is making sure you get your offer in front of the sellers if you do. Fair enough? So when we talked about me helping you with offers, so what have you heard about the competition in our market for buyers? Absolutely. We're in a very competitive market. And so when we go to put in your offer, these are some of the things we may consider to make your offer stand out, including removing the request for home inspections. Does that make sense? And when we get to the point of doing inspections, I recommend you get one And here's about what they cost. And I will tell you that every single home, including new construction homes, will have what we call findings. And our inspectors do a good job of just telling you if those findings are actually a big deal or not. Make sense? Last but not least, you get a sign on the dotted line, get your new keys and become a homeowner. Now, if you get a loan, please pay attention to these do's and do nots, because if you're not careful, you can totally change your qualifications and end up losing your home loan by doing these things. Now, there are a couple things you'll want to know just to make sure you're prepared, and I'll show you those quickly before we start your search. Great. So when you get a mortgage, you have a down payment between 0 to 20% that you have to bring to your closing day when you sign to get keys. Do you know how much you plan to put down? That sounds great. And additionally, you have what are called the closing costs, and these are fees for title, mortgage, taxes, and to start your escrow account. And those are between 2 to 4% of the purchase price in addition to your down payment. Does that make sense? Perfect. And are you aware that working with a local lender can help you not only get a better deal, but get your offer accepted by a seller? Perfect. And again, we're gonna go out and walk these houses in person. Either myself or one of our showing assistants will go with you. Your job is to decide if you like it. My job is making sure you get your offer in front of the sellers if you do. Fair enough? Cool. And we talked about me helping you with offers. So what have you heard about the competition in our market for buyers? Absolutely. We're in a very competitive market. And so when we go to put in your offer, these are some of the things we may consider to make your offer stand out, including removing the request for a home inspection. Does that make sense? Absolutely, sir. Excuse me. When we get to the point of doing inspections, I recommend you get one, and here's about what they cost. And I will tell you that every single home, including new construction homes, will have what we call findings in our inspection. Last but not least, you get a sign on the perfect. And again,
One more minute, 60 seconds if you're on the Zooms.
either my
All right, ladies and gentlemen, find a good place to stop. Find a good place to stop. Make your way back. Okay, and I want to answer one question. We had one question come in on Zoom here. Danielle asked if I could find it. JJ, can you find it?
That if they don't get docs, if they don't get docs in or do their due diligence to close and end up not closing, and the sellers come back and sue them for damages as long as keeping their deposit.
Yes, very, very good question. Okay. So if for some reason your clients don't close, okay, this is one of the places where real estate law can come into effect, and now things are out of your hands and they get handed to a real estate attorney that will then help the buyer and seller decide what they're going to do. Okay. So in your contract, you see this section right here up on the screen. If you're on Zoom, you also see this. There's a little clause right here, section 13, which says that we know in real estate this sometimes happens. Sometimes closings get delayed or stalled up or held up for any number of reasons. Okay. So this section says the delay and extension of closing specifically in reference to these 3 reasons. The first, 8.2.2, this is your ability to obtain financing, the financing in which you indicate in the contract. Okay. So if your closing gets delayed or extended based on financing, 9.2, which is the contingent sale of a property, right? So if they had to sell another house, or if for some reason something happens in their title search, which is 12.2, and they can't deliver a clean, clear title, if your closing gets delayed because of any of these reasons, finances, a contingent closing, or the delivering of a clean title, all parties will reasonably cooperate to schedule the closing on a date that is consistent with such extension. The automatic extension delays closing by more than 14 calendar days. Purchaser or seller may declare this agreement void. Okay. So what that's saying is, if your closing gets delayed for any of these reasons, you can't get your financing, you have another house that you're waiting to sell, or you can't get a clear title, you have up to 14 days to reasonably cooperate and try to get that thing closed. Okay. So are your clients going to get sued immediately? Danielle, the short answer is probably not. Okay. Now, what this also says is once you are past your closing date, the buyer and the seller at any point could agree together to let everybody out of this contract, and then you guys decide what's going to happen with the earnest deposit. That's the other way around this, without your clients getting sued. Or if after 14 days you still can't close, or you decide you're not going to close, or you just don't want to do that, the seller has the right to declare this agreement void. And it very clearly says what happens to the earnest money. The earnest money will be returned to the purchaser. Okay. So if these are the reasons that this thing can happen, this clause is your best protection to keep your clients, to get your buyers their earnest money back. Okay. If the sellers decide to take it further, then obviously it'll be up to the attorneys what happens with damages, or if they get sued for performance. But can they be sued? They could be. This is the best protection you have against that kind of stuff. But is it possible that they get sued? Yes, it's possible. Okay. But a lot of times you don't have to worry about that because of this protection. Go ahead.
What if it's a different reason from those 3 reasons?
Now, there's the real question, which is if it's a different reason than those 3 reasons, now it's up to the lawyers to decide. Okay. And ultimately, if your clients want this thing actually decided, it is up to the buyer and seller to come together and communicate about something that makes sense for everybody and just not put lawyers in the middle of it. But is it possible that they get sued if it's outside of these 3 reasons? Yeah, it is, because technically your clients are breaching their agreement of this contract. Okay. So there are a number of reasons, and the rest of that gets interpreted by the lawyers, and I won't pretend to throw my hat in that ring, but that is how those get decided. So. Love it. Now we're good. Okay. Now, as we wrap up today, I'm going to challenge you, take this thing home and practice it. Practice it with the slides, practice it with the words, because this is one of your ultimate skills as a real estate agent. This is where you provide so much certainty about what this process is going to look like, what's going to happen to them, where the money's going to come from, what they have to expect along the journey. And when they have all of these expectations, they know what's going to happen. You don't end up getting closings delayed because they know what to do. Okay. This is how you as a real estate agent avoid all these pitfalls that take so many real estate agents by surprise and their clients. Okay. So you get ahead of this stuff and you really, 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 really win big time. All right. So take the next couple of hours, build your business, find these opportunities to do these buyer presentations. And if you need to shadow one, reach out in the group chat, reach out to one of your peers, see if you can sit in on one of theirs because these things are super powerful and the clients absolutely love it. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. We'll practice this some more tomorrow with the slides in front of you. And if you're in month 2, stick around. We're going to do some coaching. All right. Thanks for being here. I'll see you guys later.